Okay, we're here live. Welcome to episode Soul Purpose Conversation, episode number 13. Jan and I are here representing Soul Purpose School Group. We have a free Soul Purpose group in the platform School. And this group is designed to help all soul-led entrepreneurs uh, on a mission to awaken the world, helping them grow their business from a spiritual standpoint. And I don't know why my name has been changed to Soul Purpose Conversation, but that's okay. Um, in the reason that we are feeling called to really address that is because there's a huge gap between, first of all, we want to really help all soul-led entrepreneurs because awakening the world is our mission, and we cannot do this alone. So we want to bring more people who have the same mission. And also, there's a gap. We saw a gap between how the world, driven by material point of view and mechanical point of view, uh, operates, and the gap between that and how we spiritual creators wants to operate. There's a huge gap in it. We want to operate from inside out. We want to operate first in alignment, and then second, expansion. We want to honor who we are, so the wholeness of who we are, instead of staying the energy of lack or fear or scarcity. And there are different approaches that's being presented in the world that is tearing apart a lot of the spiritually oriented folks. So we have observed that, and I have experienced a little bit of that in the past. And we're here to help every spiritual entrepreneurs to share that there's another way. So in the Soul Purpose group, we have different materials and resources and events to help all of us tapping into the power of who we are to be able to access that and to integrate. I truly have come to realize that this path of physical life is the path of integration, not a path of transcendence, but a path of integration to become aware of who we are and then to be able to express and experience that essence of us in this physical realm. So we are coming here on a weekly basis. We post this on YouTube, Facebook, different social media to share who we are and what we're doing. So if anybody out there who are feeling the same, the calling and the incongruency, um, we want everybody to be a part of us. So this specific Soul Purpose conversation that we publish, we lead with Jan's questions. So Jan is an alchemist, Soul Purpose alchemist in the group. Do you want to share, Jan, by what your perceived role in the group is and what you feel inspired and excited about what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So when I originally got tasked with the title of the community alchemist, I guess what it means is to bring people together, to help them to come out of the darkness into the light, to engage and to understand why we want to engage in these type of communities. It could be whatever, but I mean, there's something that very different, like if we take it into a fitness aspect, I think one of the reasons why CrossFit does so well is because they have a massive community element. And compared to someone who's doing like online training, I mean, it's also fun, but there's something about communities. And being in our community, I've come to learn that, the thing that I always tell people is when I came in, I was very cynical. I was in a lot of pain. I was a quiet person. I didn't take action easily. I wanted to know everything before, I felt as if I had imposter syndrome, right? I wasn't spiritual enough, or I wasn't Zen enough, or I I didn't know enough about spiritual stuff to get involved in spiritual communities and concepts. Never mind trying to understand business, marketing, and sales from a spiritual aspect. And but I went against my nature, and I just started taking action on a daily basis, and it completely changed me and my existence, honestly. And I want that for everyone, and being someone who was very much in the darkness, sort of, I was in many Facebook groups and communities and these type of spaces, but I never engaged. I was passively trying to learn as much as I could without, getting involved. And it was, and I wish I had gotten involved, sooner in certain spaces, because it has such a wonderful effect, because how it presents is that you're shy, or that you don't know enough, or that you need to, I need to know more, anything like that. And all of that is rubbish, because especially our community, we've just got such wonderful people, and we don't really have any, we don't have any experts, right? We don't have everybody. We're all just doing the thing, and trying to build businesses without selling our soul in the process, which I think is interesting. And yeah, so I mean, if you have something to say on that, Yuki, or I'll go into the topic, which just came to me now intuitively. It's different to what we spoke about.
Okay. I do have one thing that I would love for you to share, because there are a lot of people on an online space, even after they join community, who are hiding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hiding means that they're consuming the content on their own and not expressing or not sharing. And then you just mentioned that you were one of them, but you started to take action and everything changed. What's different? What happens in people from your perspective when people start taking action and sharing? What is it that exactly happens in them, or happen for you, that you say that it's a completely different experience, or result? What is it?
So I have an answer off of like what I've learned up until now, but I think the best way to approach this initially is just to um, there's a phrase that I've been saying a lot the last week, which is like, we don't need to look to the mirror to smile first, right? So if I look at the mirror and I want the mirror to smile at me first, I'm going to be waiting a long time. But if I smile, then the mirror smiles, which means that, like, when I change every single incremental moment after moment after moment after moment, if I start to change who I am in that moment and how I show up, everything changes. And so I didn't know this when I started. I was just in a lot of pain. I noticed that there was a very nasty voice within me, a very cynical, nihilistic, very sad, very angry voice inside of me. And I was looking for solutions, and I could never really embody or get in contact with him in a way that was going to really change me, to have, like, whatever you want to call it, a spiritual awakening or what have you. And where it started was that I didn't even think it was a spiritual solution at that point. I just wanted to work on this inner critic. I wanted to speak to myself better, inside of myself, speak to and about myself better. And so I started investigating that. And then something happened for me. I remembered, being told 12 years ago when I was in rehab for drugs, that, I should look in the mirror and tell myself I love myself every day. And I tried it, and it was so uncomfortable that I went back to this counselor and said, I refuse to do it. I'm not doing that. And 9 years later, which was about 3 years ago when I began this journey, I really, I started doing it. It felt very uncomfortable. And so, to come to your question of what changed in me, was that I started to Hmm. I started, okay, the action of it. I looked in the mirror and I started telling myself I love myself. I would cry whilst I did it. It felt uncomfortable. I didn't believe what I was saying. But I trusted the process and the repetition of it, and I did it and I did it and I did it. And that's something happened there. Whereas now, if I look in the mirror, I always smile and I always have something, like a moment, a wonderful moment with myself. And so I was like, oh wow, that actually did something. And then I found our community on Skool. I was already in some other communities, and I decided that when I was going to engage in these communities, that I was going to go against my nature of standing in the darkness. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't feel like I had anything to say. I didn't feel like I had any value or anything like that. But I just started with like reading what people said. And if I felt like I had, and even if it was just a kind word, just like I loved what you said. Thank you very much for taking the time and liking it, and just going through the stuff, and just, and slowly that started to nurture into like, oh, actually I do have something to say. And I do have if I could even call it an opinion about what you've said here, or my own life experience. And I can bring that and we can talk about that. And next thing you know, it's like a year later, and you can't shut me up.
I mean, basically, what you're talking about is the law of circulation, giving and receiving, the reciprocity, right? Many people want to see their life change, and they don't understand that in order for the life to change, they need to change, right? Even it surprises me because we are more focusing on helping people grow their business, which requires money, right? And then many people want to grow their business without investing. That's very hard for me to understand, because if somebody wants a free stuff and they have a dream or desire of, let's say, earning $10,000, right? It means that I'm not going to give anything, I'm going to receive it. That's what they're saying. So it violates the laws of nature. So then it will take much, much longer, because you're saying that I have nothing to give and I'm ready to receive. And if you're if you have nothing to give, that's what the universe will give it to them more, which is the absence of giving. That's why people are in a hamster wheel of that energy all the time. So I just wanted to mention that because I think somebody needs to hear, right? Somebody in the world needs to hear. Do you remember the topic that you had an aha moment?
Yes, yeah. So yesterday you posted about, I guess I could call it like, putting the personality in its proper place. We talk about it as the essence view, but what was really interesting about what you said, which I hadn't heard you say like that before, was so initially what I need to, and this is the process, I guess, that happened to me, but we have to notice that we are not this character that we've developed since birth, that we thought we needed to play in order to survive this existence. All of its beliefs, all of its thinking and feeling and everything. We have to realize that we're not that, and that there is a deeper I. But from there was a stepping stone that essentially what you said is that if I can create this unconscious, through the life I've lived, I've unconsciously created this character. That means that I can create characters, which means that I can create any character I like, which is quite a powerful, and I guess that's what happened to me, was that I just wanted to stop being that unconscious character, and I wanted to be some new character. And I didn't know what I was creating, but I was starting to take action towards that. But then at the end of what you said yesterday was, preferably what we would like to do is to create a character based on the essence, right? So, and this has been something really interesting for me, because there has always been not a disconnect, but a lack of understanding, a lack of complete understanding around, because there's a lot of this transcendent language, and and even the people who talk about ego death, and and I've always tried to understand, like, I thought, or I wasn't sure, but I guess the limited understanding that I had was something along the lines of, I need to relinquish the personality part of me, and somehow become like essence, like, even this saying of I'm not a physical creature seeking a spiritual experience, I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience, sort of means that, like, okay, so I am this essence that's puppeteering this meat puppet, right? That also has thinking and feeling and a personality and an ego and what have you. And then so it gets it's but I love this understanding that for me, the way that I understood what you were saying was that there is the deep I, but there is also the personality, whatever personality I choose to create, right? And it can be anything that I want, but I like the idea that probably the the most wonderful personality I can create is based on spiritual principles. So, yeah, the question is putting the personality in its proper place. And then an extension of that question is, if I'm the deep I, and I'm cultivating a personality, an essence view based personality, what are the traits of that, or is that individual to each person?
I can answer that question, and I have a lot of things that I want to say in response to what you said. If I could just start with answering that question. So, I think what you're asking is, what are the things that you would be experiencing when the essence part of you shapes your personality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So immediately what comes up for me is that you will not be comparing,
Mm-hmm.
right? You will be collaborating. You will not have any thoughts on or feeling around things like jealousy or less than, because we are all one and everybody is the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's creative plane versus competitive plane. You will be consistently operating on the creative plane. That's what comes up for me first, right? That's the essence view that is leading the personality. If the wounded part of you is shaping your personality, you are constantly in a competitive mode. You will be feeling less than. You will feel jealous when somebody's doing what you're doing. You will feel agitated emotion, and that fear-based energy is gonna continue to drive your life, uh,
Mm-hmm.
right? And and the motivation behind action becomes to validate yourself,
Mm-hmm.
to try to prove the world about you. That becomes the driver when the wound shapes the personality. But when the essence shapes the personality, the you will be inspired taking action and doing things to touch the world from the place of wholeness, because nothing is missing inside of you. So giving is all there is, right? So we talk about the whole versus whole, right? The
Mm-hmm.
HOLE, whole, to feel that hole inside that's missing, to feel complete, versus if you are coming from the oneness, you're already whole, then there's nothing that you need to get from the world, but only to give to the world. And then the circulation happens as as a result of that, because there's so much abundance in things that you already have and feel with, that you cannot wait to share to the world. So those are the, distinct um,
Mm.
discernment of it. But I think, listening to what you said, that has been my journey, though. Means that I was so interested in the spiritual aspect of life, and then when I dove into spirituality, almost everybody was wanting to transcend and then shift out of and escape out of this physical realm to be able to have that state. And then that sort of led me wondering, what about this day-to-day physical life, right? Because that was the perspective. And then, because I was also, not only spiritual but also driven in a certain way, right? Then, because what I wanted to experience was missing in a spiritual community or industry, I dove into what we call personal development industry, right? And then when I look at the personal development industry, there's a lot of rigidity. There's a lot of sort of putting yourself in a structural structure to make yourself do it kind of mentality, right? And to accomplishing and achieving the goal to become better mentality, right? And then when I'm there, I was feeling like, what about the presence? What about fully being in the moment and in living in that, right? So I myself was torn by the two industry that found pieces that benefited from and felt something missing, right? That's why I then went to the holistic health, I went to meditation, and then being everywhere, because I wanted to find a piece that connects the dots, which was what I was looking for. And what I was really looking for is that understanding of who we are, and understanding of the totality of who we can be in this world. That's a difference, right? Understanding of who we are is a spiritual being. The understanding of who we can be in this world is an integration of the physical and the spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
The expression and experience in the physical realm needs to lead needs to be led by the spirit, needs to be led by the knowing, needs to be led by the intuitive part of us. So, but here's the thing, though. It is like a dichotomy, right? That the soul essence and the personality aspect of it, right? There's a different two aspect in us. And then for me, young, what's important is to understand both and then to integrate both. But the integration is going to be successful only when we know that the spiritual aspect is the container of the personality content, not the other way around.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's also what Bible means, that I and Father are one, but the Father is greater than I. That's what that means. I am is greater and the container, because the concept, the Son, which is the personality, and the concept I that we're living, cannot be generated without the Father, the awareness of being I am. So we must sit in that I amness first, and then begin playing with the personality concept, right? So when we're playing with the personality concept in the physical realm, we must be in the I am, not in the concept. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's what tricky for a lot of people, because when they focus on the concepts that driving you, and lose
Yes.
in touch with that whole, and that's when people start feeling like something is missing. There's more to life in a deeper, sense.
Mm.
So I'm sure there's deeper, deeper layer of understanding and awareness that I'm gonna be moving into, and we all gonna be moving into. But at this point, I have a very clear idea of what it is, what's missing in the world, and it's just a matter of, like, you have observed me saying one same thing from 100 different angles, right? I'm just playing with it, right? I'm just playing with saying differently, so I can come up with that new, dots that I can connect to be able to convey this message in a clear way so people can hear. And everybody's in a different stage. So uh,
Mm.
I want to say differently so something can learn to somebody, right? And
Yeah.
including myself. I I get surprised with what I say sometimes.
Oh, it's good to hear that. Um, uh, okay, so I like that you said to play with the personality. I think that that's great. The, I mean, in the simplest way, what it means for me is if the personality is driving the bus, then I'm pretty unconscious. I'm not, it has its own operating system. But if I can, they talk about waking up. Like if I can become conscious then like that conscious aspect is the intuitive aspect for me. That's the um, and then trying to just do that more and more often, which I think is something that people can relate to, because you keep getting sort of pulled back in. Like every moment, it's easy to be to take an essence view when you're sitting on the mountain or next to the river or whatever. But like when things get tricky, for whatever reason, if you've got a newborn baby, you're starting a business, there's things happening politically or in your neighborhood, no water or whatever. It's all of every. It doesn't mean that spiritual aspect switches off. It's always there. It's just when that particular personality type or personality, the one that's most familiar to me is the one that I've cultivated since birth, the one that I thought I needed to play in order to survive. And I guess now that with all of this new language, there's probably multiple personalities that I'm trying to put together. And what I love with what you said a while back was, this idea of thoroughly. I've changed it a bit, but thoroughly understanding who I am not in order to become who I need to be. And the deeper that statement gets for me is that every now and then I can feel like I have become the person that I'm supposed to be, but really it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. It's like there is no actual becoming. There's the deep I, but as far as the essence view, the new character, the personality that I'm trying to allow, that I'm allowing to be influenced more and more by the deep I. Um, I think it's short-sighted to think that I've made it, that I've arrived.
Yeah, another way of looking at this, Jan, is that, so the language that I often use is the soul essence is in the realm of the spiritual, which is in the realm of absolute. So what it really means when we say the realm of absolute is means that that's why there's an infinite possibilities, because there's no end to the absolute, right? And then the realm of the physical, which we shape personality using the mind is finite, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
limitation. There's always limitation in the mind. There's limitation in the physical realm. There's limitation in the body. So, and then because personality is not who we are, but who we can be through choice, it's dynamic. and changeable. Yeah. What's the language? Malleable? Is it malleable? Right?
Malleable, yeah.
Yeah. And the work that we're doing through the integration of the self, which is the concept of self and soul, is to bring the infinite into the finite mind and the body, and how much can we expand that finite mind to move closer to the infinite soul of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So the process of becoming that we talk about in the personal development industry is an unfoldment of the soul in the mind to let the soul essence part of us express in this physical realm. So, anybody who is growing the business, any singers, entertainers, artists, what they're doing is exactly that, right? In their own way. Creativity and the innovation, even in the technology, those are an idea that comes from inspiration, being in spirit, to expand the possibility in the physical realm. So all the industries are doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless they are trying to stay the same. Yeah. So a constant expansion in the finite mind and the personality to expand more is what we're here to do, and there's no end to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have another question. The so you get people that are very successful uh, that aren't spiritual. If so, if if somebody is not successful and they believe that it is a spiritual solution, um, I mean, what's the I sort of have I have my own understanding, but some clarity from you would be great. The So because if let's say I'm a person and I want to start a business, and this person is telling me that I can do it through whatever tactics, right? The way that they made a million, they're not spiritual at all. They did it however they did it, and then we're telling people that it's an inside job, really. And so what's the difference in approaches? Because a lot of people would say that all of this spiritual stuff is uh, like there are people in the world, maybe like boomers or whatever, but that would say, like, just stop with the spiritual stuff and just like put your head down and build the business. Just do it. Building a business is not hard. So and then they would probably reference like somebody who's like, this guy's not spiritual, look how much money he's got. uh, you know what do you think?
Yeah, I have a perfect answer and context for that. So the conversation that I would like to bring in response to your inquiry is Dalai Lama successful? Yeah. Is he not successful? Is he successful? Right. So I think,
Depends on your definition of success.
yeah, what is the definition of success in terms of the growth of the business, and also circulation of money happens without you being spiritual, because the world of the senses responds to your belief, right? So you don't need to be believing that you're spiritual in order to manifest anything, to be honest. if you believe that you're somebody who can attract a lot of money because you can impact the world in your own idea and perception, you will actually grow your business. If
Mm-hmm.
so I think the point of this conversation is, what is it that you desire to live? The trends that I see, especially in the online space, is that many people go after that external financial success, and they accomplish that and begin realizing they want something else after
Yeah,
that.
because they were actually seeking wholeness,
Yeah,
and they thought that money was going to make them whole.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And you can really be financially successful driven by the wound.
yeah.
It's really possible, right? So this person, and this person is not a particular person, I'm just saying in general, this one person can drive the motivation by trying to feel something that didn't get validated in childhood, and wanting to impress others by having this, and to grow the
Hmm.
business. But for me, from the internal aspect, I don't think this person will ever be fully happy, because
Hmm.
the life is about chasing the next thing to prove the world. And
Hmm.
that's like the opposite energy of what we want to create to be whole, right?
Hmm.
You're trying to seek the wholeness by chasing, which what you want to do is to realize you already are.
Yeah. And then from that, starting a business from that place is to um, to elevate, or to express your message, whatever it is,
Exactly.
more loudly.
Yeah.
And that, because doesn't really matter what business it is, it's going to have an impact on other people. Um, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't need to be spiritual to live your life. Anybody can live the way they desire to be. Um, but because we are spiritual being, which is just another perspective and belief that we present, right? Unless you address that, your life will never be complete. That's my belief, right?
Hmm.
Something
Yeah.
is going to be missing. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I
yeah,
mean, I have more than enough evidence in myself of that.
yeah.
Um, hmm. Yeah, okay. Um, so we can't actually ever. So if we are, more and more present with our, in cultivating our essence view and intuition and all of that type of thing, we can get like pretty close to the absolute, but we'll never actually in this existence get there, right? Unless you do transcend. Um,
Right. I mean, the experience, I do feel that everybody actually get there all the time. It's not the state that you can sustain for the entire time.
mhm.
I feel that when athletes is in the state of zone, that's the flow state or the zone, or singer singing and being one with the audience, I do think that people are experiencing the state of the absolute in that moment.
Is it not just a personality based reflection of the absolute? Is
Mm,
it?
mm. Because we're having an interesting conversation though, right? Because the spiritual realm is not elsewhere, but it's here,
Mhm.
right? And we're living in the physical world, but the spiritual dimension exists right here, right now. We don't need to go to the Mars to experience that, right? So, 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 so I think it's possible, right? We are experiencing that here and there all the time, even when we are walking, nature and all that, and we stop. Whenever we lose the separation from the world, I feel that we are there.
Yeah, or when the thinking stops,
Yeah,
the space between the thinking.
yeah,
Like probably we experience it more as children naturally than
yeah,
I think it's more tricky for adults, but not impossible.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting sort of conversation because I mean even if it is just I mean what is the obsession with you know uh, 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 like if it is a personality based reflection versus true experience of essence, uh, does it really matter?
yeah. When you say personality based reflection, I'm hearing perceiving that based on your belief. Yeah,
Maybe I'd
yeah,
have to think about it more. But what I mean is like if we are taking an essence view,
hmm,
right, which is hopefully not just like something that that it's not a personality that's pretending to be spiritual. It
mm,
is a personality that is influenced by the my intuition, the deep I,
hmm,
right? But it is still experienced on a personality level,
hmm.
right?
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well,
So
well, well. So there's no experience without the mind,
yes, I
right?
guess yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there's no experience.
Well, there is an experience without the mind, surely, when you don't think, when you the space between the thinking, as Eckhart Tolle talks about.
Right. But the feeling is there though.
Yeah, the feeling is there.
Yeah. Which is the mind, part of the mind.
Is it?
I mean, feeling, in my experience and understanding, feeling is the only medium that overlaps the 3D physical sensation feeling, right? The 4D internal, um,
Emotional feeling.
yeah, emotional feeling. And the 5D feeling is, it's almost
Intuition.
like, yeah, intuition, and
Mm.
right? The knowing can be called feel that I know, right? So
Mm.
feeling is a broadly inclusive that sort of overlaps the three dimension for me, which is the reason that Neville says the feeling is the secret. Because when you're feeling in that wish fulfill, you are collapsing those three dimensions to bring that right here. So when you imagine, it's not about imagining things, but you want to feel that imagination. So yeah,
Mm. Beautiful.
yeah.
Lots to think about.
I know this is perfect though. 45 minutes is good. Do you have any final comment?
No, just to, are you going to remind everyone of the upcoming workshop?
Yeah, exactly. So in
Yeah.
the Soul Purpose group, we do once a month event. Actually, we're doing a little warm up this week. Starting, I'll do the pregame on the 22nd. Tuesday, 23rd, we're gonna have a belief camp. And I'm particularly excited about this topic because belief, as we have been discussing, is a huge topic. The definition of the belief that I like to share is what is true for your experience, and it is done unto you as you believe. Yeah, just like Jesus said. So, if you want to create the life that you desire in this physical realm, we must be able to shift our belief, which is what is true for you. So the sense of self that you feel yourself to be in the world needs to change in order for the outside, the world of senses to change. So that's an excellent topic. We're going to do 3 days, I think 75 minutes each, and the recording will be available in the group. So I'll post the link for the school group, so anybody who is watching, who
And
is
the workshop's free. It's
a
free.
workshop is free. Yes,
Yeah.
workshop is free, and there's gonna be not just consuming. If you can attend live, it's gonna be at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Um, I want everybody to attend live because the live experience is different from consuming recording while you're multitasking. Um, and there's going to be different activities in the group for you to engage and show up. And one of the another key element for me doing this event is for me to create a container for everybody to begin showing up, right? Because people in general have this sort of habit of hiding, habit of hiding from the world, and begin developing using this collective energy to begin practicing showing up. You will begin initiating the reciprocal effect of the law of circulation, and great thing will appear in your life. So I'll share the link below or above so you can click to join the group, and you will find out more about it.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool. Thanks, Yuki.
Thank you. Thanks, Jan, and thanks everybody for watching. See you next week. We'll come back.
Yes.